Welcome to Spintown, Spintown. Creepers in the blue and gold. Spintown, Spintown. The Grim Reaper's gonna get your soul. In the cobble pit you get your soul. Don't even try resisting in Spintown. Spintown!
Welcome to Spintown, everyone. You just watched a quick run-through of the Death Run map Dark Rainbow, which I made all by myself, and that's why it looks so plain looking, because I had to build it myself. I'm not a great builder, but I did decide I wanted to build a map, and I came up with an idea that I thought I could do myself, and I thought it would look great and would be, you know, something easy to build around, gameplay-wise. But when I started to build it, I realized I had to use 1.12 blocks to make it look right. I tried other block palettes and stuff like that, and nothing seemed to work. So I had to scrap the idea. So I still wanted to build a map, but I had no ideas. And after thinking about it, and coming up with nothing that I thought I could build really well and make it look nice, I decided just to build a very plain and enclosed map. And even if it never gets used, which I don't expect it to get used, I thought maybe just by finishing it, making a video, showing it off, that somebody else might see a couple ideas from my map and decide to use it in their own. And I'd be totally fine with that. If they decide to credit me with whatever they use of mine, that would be great. But even if they didn't, I'd be fine with it. I also thought it would be fine maybe if somebody saw this and they like, hey, you know what? I think I can work with you to make it look better. And, you know, I'm open to that too. So, yeah, even though I don't really expect this to get used, I thought it still might do some good. And, yeah, that's why it's here. And I'm going to go ahead and fly through the whole thing and talk about each checkpoint and trap and stuff like that. Most of them are very simple and self-explanatory, but some of them and some of my ideas are new to the community. It's just simple disappearing blocks at the start. The glass ones are the ones that disappear. The water right here afterwards is just to not stop people from strafing immediately at the start, like some people use all 3 strafes, bam, 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 just to try to get a lead at the start. But it's to make those people be a little bit more careful. It is going to be a little bit harder just by adding something simple like that, I think. But again, not impossible at all. Then you have a drop bridge with, again, more water afterwards. And then you have a trap that I hate, usually, which is TNT push. And the reason I don't like it is because the death dealers seem to have trouble timing it to where it actually works and hits the person off. And sometimes it looks like the people just run right through it when it's active. So the way I decide to try to make it work a little bit better is by combining it with the wall trap. Like, this is not here. This wall is spawned in by that button right there. So if the death dealer, when the pack is running through here, hits the wall, people will have to stop right here. And if they hit the other button, which would trigger the TNT, hopefully that makes the trap a little bit more effective. We'll see. That was just my only thought to try to make it work a little bit better. And then right here, you just turn the corner. This was inspired by the map Yagarum. I know I'm probably saying that wrong, but you know the tree root corner where if you can kind of take a little bit of a shortcut if you take the inside and make a little bit harder jumps. Same idea. It's not an exact copy, but it's the same idea. Checkpoint 1 is over now, and then you have basic arrow trap. Then you have a flood right here. And if you're in the very middle right here, you're safe from the water. I thought that might be interesting change, or not. We'll see. But right here, again, another trap that's been used before, where if you jump off that half slab, you can skip across the top and avoid the snake flames there, whatever they're called. And then we come to just a corner drop bridge. And before we move on to the next checkpoint, I just want to make sure that this is focused on enough. The death dealers would spawn right here, right next to a teleporter, which would take you over there. And the reason that there's a teleporter there is obvious, hopefully, because the death dealer can kill people on both sides from this pathway. So he might be down at that end, he might be down at this end when he wants to go over there. So you would need 2 teleport pads to make this work. But yeah, I just really love the idea that the death dealer, like if he wants to stay with the main pack, he can. But if somebody gets away from him, he can sit here with the main pack, and then as they go by him on the other side, bam, get the other guy. So yeah, I'd like to do an entire map, or I'd like to see somebody else do an entire map where it's like this. There's a path on both sides of the death dealer at all times. I think that'd be awesome. Just to showcase the idea, I only put it in one section of my map. If you try to do a whole map this way, it might be a little difficult, but it'd definitely be done, and I think would be fun. But that's where the death dealer would teleport to after he's done in that section. And here we go on to the next checkpoint. This next checkpoint is, again, just disappearing block parkour. If you take the downward path, the start of it's dangerous. If you take the upward path, the end of it is dangerous. There is a way to kind of like avoid almost all the danger altogether. So if you want to parkour up here and double jump there, you can make it all the way to the wall down here, and you really only had to jump one time on the glass, which is the only risky part. It's not incredibly easy to do, but most people will be able to do it. But again, a lot of people won't even think of it. It's something that should reward players who are more familiar with the map. So the more you play, the more knowledgeable you are, and the better paths you can take. I try to take that into consideration on multiple occasions when making this map, because I do think more experienced players should be rewarded by picking up on little tips and tricks and stuff like that as they play. This next part, these webs right here, would not be there. The only time they're going to be there is when the trap is triggered. Now, even when the trap is triggered, you can do it obviously with the web still there, but it does make it a little bit harder because if you jump late, or just make a bad jump like that, but if you're running and you jump too late, you would normally make that jump, but because you jump so late, the web's going to catch you and you're going to fall to your death. But yes, it's probably a little too difficult if I just left the webs there the entire time, but having them triggered, I think it's not too difficult. Here we have more disappearing block parkour. This is actually really simple parkour. You just got to pay attention to where the death dealer's at and what blocks you're jumping on. But pretty simple stuff. Then we have a zombie drop. I think I made this room big enough, or approximately the right size. It can be adjusted if it needed to be. But the zombie should be completely visible, I think, in this room. It's pretty big. And then we have 2 fire snakes that would be triggered at the same time. And I didn't know if it was possible, if it's allowed in the game, but I thought it would be awesome if I could have like fire snakes right here, and then also exactly right on the opposite wall, the fire snakes came together and met. Don't know if they do that in Death Run. I mean, I don't think I've seen it in the map, but it'd be awesome if they did it. Because I don't know if it is allowed, I kept them separated, so they have some there, and then right after it, there's another going the opposite direction. Then we come to the green bar section, which everybody either loves or hates. And I personally, depends on how laggy I am. Because sometimes these things lag you back so much, I never want to see them again. And other times, it's fine. But there is TNT you can drop as they're trying to parkour up the green bars. Then when you get to this cave-like area here, I guess the whole thing's a cave-like area, but when you get to this part of it, it's the disappearing path trap. So you have the path on the bottom, the clues are on the bottom, and you have the clues on the top, and then the clues on the sides. And I just thought that was the natural progression of this trap, because you started off with the trap being just on the bottom, and then it went to being on top, and then you had it on the sides with throwback. So the next step in the evolution of it, I thought, would be combining those elements. And I think I did a fairly decent job of doing it there. This next part is one part I thought people might have issue with. It's a 6-block jump, and people are going to be like, that's way too hard for Death Run. And I agree, it is. But really, there's no way for you to die unless you just walk off the side. The trap on this part of it is simply the spider webs. The spider webs are not there normally. They're triggered by the death dealer. But if you use head hitter momentum, which you just jump really fast and sprint forward, you can make this 6-block jump right here. And then once you do, you'd land right here, and then it's just one jump right here. You finish the checkpoint. Now, if you miss the 6-block jump, the worst that can happen to you is you just fall right down here, use the green bars to get back up. So you don't die, you just lose maybe 2 seconds, 3 seconds of time. So it's not going to hurt you in winning the race, most likely. But if you're trying to do a speed run, you're going to want to nail that 6-block jump. Then after that, you have some just steps, custom steps made with ladders and glass. Some people, the first time they see this, they'll probably be like jumping like this, going, one section at a time, not knowing they can just run right up these things like they're steps. You just want to make sure you jump at the fence. And again, that's something that's going to reward players who have played this more. And that's something, again, I'm trying to include in my map. So once you get to the top, you can just jump down here on the slime, which is going to disappear if the death dealer is there. And then you grab the ladders. And I think if you have perfect momentum and jump right at the edge of the slime, you don't even need the ladders. They're just there for the people who come up a little short. Then we have an instant oven, and I left this block in the middle so people can try to just stay there and fake out the death dealer maybe. Then we have piston push, pretty simple stuff. And this was inspired by the map School. Even if you don't strafe this right here, which you should be able to strafe that, it's a little more dangerous now with the water there trying to strafe it. But even without strafing, it's still a bit of a shortcut if you decide to parkour across the top. But if you're not comfortable doing that, it's still a very reasonable option to zigzag all the way through it. It's just a little slower. And then right here, again, you have multiple paths. You can strafe this over the top. You can take a bit of a shortcut by just jumping, double jumping over that. If you try to double jump that and you come up short, that's going to really slow you down. But by taking a little bit of a risk, you can save a little time even without using a strafe. Or, again, of course, you can just zigzag through the whole thing, and hopefully the Death Dealer doesn't trigger the flame snakes behind you and then get you from the back. Right here, you have just an arrow trap right above you, pretty simple, but it's not real easy to see. So hopefully, even though it's a pretty basic trap, it gets a lot of people. And even if you make it past it, you can still get shot because those three dispensers right there would be shooting arrows. And those arrows basically are going to go right over the lip of this edge right here. So you can be shot technically while you're falling in air down towards those webs if the Death Dealer happens to trigger it right then. And this is, again, just disappearing webs. So you're going to drop down here, hopefully land on the edge of the spider web, and then get out quickly. Then you have some dispenser parkour, which is a little different than I've seen on other maps because I have one dispenser pointed upward. I have a dispenser in the ceiling, and I have one in the wall right there. Just trying to mix it up a little bit, do something a little different, and hopefully people... I think it'd be funny. Somebody thinks they're trying to avoid everything, and then all of a sudden they get an arrow shot up their ass right here. But then we have the carpets that catch on fire with this one. So all these white carpets would just instantly catch on fire when the Death Dealer triggers it. And this isn't a trap. This is just uneven ground with a little water in there, just to make people parkour a little bit. Really simple stuff. This is a new idea right here. This button right here is to trigger this first row of TNT. And I thought it would be a really cool idea to have the runners be able to trigger a trap. And I don't know if that's going to be allowed ever in a map, but I thought it would be really cool. And I don't think this is a good idea to have like tons of buttons just everywhere along the course. But maybe one or two on a course, strategically placed, I think could make for an interesting gameplay element. And just think if like you're in second place and the guy in front of you is about to come to that TNT and you just happen to see the button there and you can hit it on the run and kill him. I mean, I think that would be kind of cool. People might disagree, and again, I don't know if that's something they'll ever allow, but again, this is just about getting ideas out there to the community. Some of them probably are bad, some of them might be good, some of them might be allowed, some not. We'll see. But again, the very last trap after you go across the water is another string of TNT that can be triggered by the Death Dealer. And throughout the entire course, I definitely tried to make sure that the Death Dealer has, again, best possible view of the track so he can time when to trigger the traps like best of his ability. I really hate it when people design a map and they try to make it look pretty and it affects the way the Death Dealer, like his view and how he's going to perform. So I know the minimum in the forums it said was like make the Death Dealer path 3 wide. Most of mine is 5, I think. There are parts where I think it goes down to 4, but I think most of it's 5. So they have plenty of room to like run by the other Death Dealer without getting in their way, and plenty of room just to like sprint and not have to use the compass to go to trap the trap, because some people are like me. They don't really like to use the compass, even though I'm using it a lot more than I used to. So yeah, I tried to make it as easy as possible. That's my map. I don't expect it to get used, but maybe some ideas from it will get used. Who knows? But I want to get it out there and just to see what happens. I'm not using the regular end screen I normally do for videos because I want to show off Mr. Moneybagels, I think is his name. He was doing Black Course and it took him 11 hours, but he finally finished. So I just want to say congratulations on finishing the Black Course with an amazing time. But yeah, if you didn't get enough Spintown for today, you can click on this annotation to watch another recent video. Thanks again for watching, and spin out.